Welcome to Biochemistry DSP channel. Today I'll be discussing about glycolysis. The term glycolysis is defined as breakdown of glucose into pyruvate. Okay. So in aerobic glycolysis, glucose will be converted into pyruvate, and in anaerobic glycolysis, glucose will be converted into lactate. So lysis means breakdown of glucose. Okay, it is the major pathway for glucose metabolism, which occurs mainly in the cytosol of all cells. It is unique that it can function either aerobically or anaerobically. Tissues involved will be mainly brain, liver, muscles and kidney. The major key enzymes of glycolytic pathway is hexokinase or glucokinase, phosphofructokinase and pyruvate kinase. These are the three key enzymes, key regulatory enzymes for glycolytic pathway. It's also called as Embden Meyerhoff-Parnas pathway, EMP pathway. It was discovered by the scientist Embden, Meyerhoff and Parnas. Hence, it's also called as Embden Meyerhoff Parnas pathway. The glycolytic pathway involves 10 steps. Okay, the 10 steps can be considered to occur in two stages. Stage 1 includes reactions from 1 to 5. It's called a preparatory stage where glucose is phosphorylated and cleaved to yield 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. It will utilize 2 molecules of ATP. Then stage 2 involves 6 to 10 reactions. If the other 5 reactions comes under stage 2, it is called as payoff stage, where the 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will be converted into pyruvate and it will lead to the production of 4 ATPs. Enzymes involved in the preparatory stage. It includes hexokinase, where the first utilization of ATP will occur, and second enzyme will be phosphoglucoisomerase and followed by phosphofructokinase 1, where second ATP utilization will occur. Then aldolase enzyme will split. It's a cleavage enzyme. Then triose phosphate isomerase. These are the 5 enzymes which will be involved in the preparatory stage. Then in the payoff stage, the enzymes involved will be glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, phosphoglycerokinase, phosphoglyceromutase, enolase, and the final step enzyme will be pyruvate kinase. The pyruvate kinase and phosphoglycerokinase will generate ATPs. So this is a pathway for glycolytic pathway. In this glycolytic step, the first step includes glucose conversion into glucose 6-phosphate. Okay, so glucose is phosphorylated in the presence of ATP and Mg2 plus to be converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of the enzyme glucokinase in the liver and hexokinase in the skeletal muscles. Okay, so these two enzymes, hexokinase or glucokinase, will convert glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. So glucose is phosphorylated with the help of ATP. So here ATP will be utilized in the first step. Okay. Since glucokinase has got much higher Km than hexokinase higher affinity for glucose than of glucokinase. Glucokinase and hexokinase are the regulatory enzymes of glycolysis. It is a irreversible reaction and consumes ATP. So when you consider the steps of glycolysis, only the 3 steps will be irreversible. Other than the 3 steps, all the steps will be of reversible in nature. So here the first step is irreversible nature. Then the second step involves conversion of glucose 6-phosphate into fructose 6-phosphate with the help of the enzyme phosphose hexose isomerase. Okay, phospho hexose isomerase. It's also called phosphoglucose isomerase. So it is a isomerization reaction. It is reversible in nature. So you have to write double side arrow. Okay, reversible. So in the second step, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate. Third step, in the third step, fructose 6-phosphate is again phosphorylated into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Okay, so already one phosphate is present in the sixth position of fructose. Now one more phosphorylation occurs with the help of the enzyme phosphofructokinase 1 with the help of ATP. Again, this step utilizes ATP. So ATP is converted into ADP. Mg2 plus is involved as a cofactor, and fructose is again phosphorylated in the first position. So fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Since the two phosphates are present in different carbon atoms, it should be called as bisphosphate. If the phosphate is present in the same carbon, means it should be called as diphosphate. Okay, so third step, again phosphorylation step, where fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Fourth step, it's aldolase A. Okay, so aldolase A is the enzyme which splits this fructose 1,6 bisphosphate into two 3-carbon compounds called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. It is found, this aldolase B is found in the liver and kidney. It is reversible reaction. Okay, so here the 6-carbon fructose is split into two 3-carbon compounds, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Then in the fifth step, again with the help of the enzyme phosphotriose isomerase, the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted again into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So you have to remember that here two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate has been generated. So in this 5 reactions, finally you got two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So from this steps, from step 6, everything should be accounted for two molecules. Okay. Now in the sixth step, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is oxidized to 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate in the presence of the inorganic phosphate, in the presence of an inorganic phosphate and NAD+. Okay, so NAD+ will be serving as a coenzyme which will be reduced into NADH and H+. Glyceraldehyde with the help of the enzyme called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. So this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, which will use one phosphate, inorganic phosphate, and it will also use as the coenzyme NAD+. This coenzyme NAD+ will be converted into NADH and H+. This both this hydrogen ions H+, these two hydrogen atoms are derived from this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, from this substrate glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, this NAD+ will abstract two H plus ions and it will be converted into NADH and H plus. One inorganic phosphate has been supplied, so that glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate has been converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Okay, so two phosphates has been attached in the first position as well as in the third position. So this is the first energy conserving reaction of glycolysis. Okay, so this NADH plus H plus will enter into electron transport chain to produce ATP. So it will produce 2.5 molecules of ATP. So approximately you can consider as 3 ATP. So for each time whenever NADH plus H plus gets reduced into this enters into electron transport chain, it will liberate energy. It will release 3 molecules of ATP. Actually it will produce 2.5 molecules of ATP. When you approximate, it will be 3 ATP. It is a reversible reaction. Okay, so it's a first energy conserving reaction in this. This glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme is inhibited by iodoacetate arsenite and iodoacetamiide. Okay, these are some of the inhibitors which will inhibit this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase: arsenate, iodoacetate and iodoacetamide. Then seventh step, here in seventh step, the high energy phosphate 1,3 bisphosphoglycerase is utilized to synthesize ATP from ADP. So here it's there is substrate level phosphorylation. You can find in the seventh step, substrate level phosphorylation. So here you can see ADP is phosphorylated with the help of the substrate. In the now the substrate is 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So in this 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, you have got two phosphate molecules, inorganic phosphate. So from this 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, the first position phosphate has been donated to this ADP, so that ADP will obtain this inorganic phosphate and it is converted into ATP, resulting in the product 3-phosphoglycerate. Okay, so this is an example for substrate level phosphorylation with the help of the enzyme phosphoglycerokinase. So this phosphoglycerokinase enzyme will catalyze the transfer of phosphoryl group from the first carbon of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate to this ADP, so that ADP is converted into ATP and 3-phosphoglycerate. It's again a reversible reaction. Okay, it's an example for substrate level phosphorylation, because without the involvement of electron transport chain, ATP is generated here. Whereas when you take sixth step, this NADH enters electron transport chain to produce ATP, 3 molecules of ATP. Whereas in the seventh step, without the involvement of mitochondrial electron transport chain, it generates ATP. So it's an example for substrate level phosphorylation. In the eighth step, the 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate in the presence of the enzyme phosphoglyceromutase. This reaction involves just the intramolecular rearrangement of this phosphate group. So the third position phosphate has been interconverted into second position. The enzyme mutase will catalyze the transfer of this phosphoryl group from one position to another in the same molecule. Next step is the 2-phosphoglycerate is dehydrated. That means one molecule of water has been removed from this 2-phosphoglycerate with the help of the enzyme called enolase to give phosphoenol pyruvate. Mg2 plus will be acting as a cofactor here. The inhibitor for this enolase enzyme is fluoride. Okay, fluoride is a strong inhibitor for the enzyme enolase. This enolase enzyme requires either Mn2 plus or Mg2 plus for its activity. It's again a reversible reaction. Then the 10th step is, again it's an example for substrate level phosphorylation step, where this phosphoenol pyruvate, here one phospho, okay, phospho means it's an inorganic phosphate is present. This phosphoenol pyruvate will donate this phosphate group to this ADP, so that ADP will be converted into ATP. Again it's Mg2 plus will be utilized as cofactor with the help of the enzyme called pyruvate kinase. So phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate with the help of the enzyme pyruvate kinase. This is a reversible step. Okay, this is a irreversible step. When you find all the steps are irreversible, whereas this 10th step is irreversible. Okay, it's a key regulatory enzyme. This pyruvate kinase is a regulatory enzyme for this glycolytic pathway. So whenever aerobic glycolysis is asked, you have to end with pyruvate. Okay, the end product of this aerobic glycolysis is always pyruvate. Anaerobic glycolysis means one more step is included. This pyruvate will be converted into lactate in the presence of the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. So if the end product is lactate, means it is anaerobic glycolysis. If the end product is pyruvate, means it is called aerobic glycolysis. So these are the 10 major steps involved in the glycolytic pathway. So this regulation of glycolysis means main key enzymes which regulate this glycolytic pathway is glucokinase or hexokinase, phosphofructokinase 1 and pyruvate kinase. This phosphofructokinase is the most important allosteric regulatory enzyme in the glycolytic pathway. It is activated by the energy status of this cell. So whenever energy fuel is more, like ATP, when more amount of ATP is produced, this will in turn will inhibit the activity of this phosphofructokinase and also will inhibit the glycolysis. Okay, these three enzymes are irreversible enzymes, irreversible steps. Okay, so this when you inhibit one enzyme, it cannot be reversed. Okay, so the activity of glycolytic, that is, it will in turn it will inhibit the activity of glycolytic pathway. So increased level of AMP AADP will exhibit low energy status, which will stimulate the activity of PFK. So this phosphofructokinase will be stimulated when there is more amount of ADP and AMP, whereas when there is more amount of ATP, it will inhibit glycolytic pathway. So it's a allosteric modification. Okay, then pyruvate kinase is also an allosteric regulatory enzyme which will be inhibited by ATP and stimulated by fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Hexokinase is again inhibited by the product glucose 6 phosphate. Glucokinase is not inhibited by glucose 6 phosphate, but it is inhibited by fructose 6 phosphate. So these three enzymes will allosterically modify the regulatory activity of this enzymes are allosterically modified, and it will regulate the glycolytic pathway. Then hormonal regulation means it will include glucagon and epinephrine, okay, and insulin. Glucagon and epinephrine will inhibit glycolytic pathway by inhibiting the enzyme pyruvate kinase, whereas insulin will stimulate glycolysis by enhancing the regulatory enzymes of glycolytic pathway, and glucagon will inhibit the glycolytic pathway by suppressing the regulatory enzymes of glycolytic pathway. So whenever in a during well-fed state, the hormone insulin will be synthesized in more amount, and it will enhance, it will stimulate the synthesis of regulatory enzymes like glucokinase, phosphofructokinase and pyruvate kinase, and it in turn it will stimulate the glycolytic pathway. Whereas during starvation or hypoglycemic condition, glucagon and epinephrine will be released, which will inhibit the glycolytic pathway by suppressing the regulatory enzymes, the key regulatory enzymes. So the synthesis of regulatory enzymes is regulated by insulin and glucagon through induction and repression of the gene transcription. Then energetics. Okay, this energetics is calculated for aerobic glycolysis. So the first step, which will utilize one ATP molecule, and the third step, the conversion of fructose 6 phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, also utilize one ATP molecule. So you have to subtract two ATP molecules. Okay, then in the payoff stage you will produce ATPs. Okay, so here from two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, okay, from two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate conversion to 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate, you get 2 NADH plus H plus. For each NADH plus H plus entering into electron transport chain, you will generate 2.5 molecules of ATP. Okay, approximately in some book it is taken as 3 ATPs. So when you check electron transport chain, 2.5 molecules of ATP is synthesized. So for 2 molecules, 2 into 2.5, it is 5 ATPs are generated in this step. Then in the substrate level, first substrate level phosphorylation step, that is 1,3 bisphosphoglycerate to 3 phosphoglycerate, again it's 2 molecules. So for each substrate level phosphorylation, that is conversion of ADP into ATP, I have to calculate as 1 ATP. So since 2 molecules, 2 into 1, it is 2 ATPs are produced in this 7th step. Then in the 10th step, conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate, again it's 2 molecules converting ADP into ATP. For each ADP conversion to ATP, 1 ATP will be synthesized. So here 2 molecules of pyruvate. So 2 into 1, it is 2 ATPs are generated. So totally 9 ATPs are generated in the payoff stage. Okay, 9 minus 2, first 2 utilized, first in the first preparatory stage 2 ATPs are utilized, so I have to subtract this 2 ATPs with this energy produced. Okay, so 9 minus 2, it is 7 ATPs. So totally 7 ATPs are generated in the aerobic glycolysis. In most of the books they will approximate this 2.5 into 3, so 2 into 3, it is 6 ATPs. So 10 minus 2, 8 ATPs. So either you can write 8 ATPs or 7 ATPs. Both are correct. Okay. Then what is the difference between anaerobic glycolysis? So anaerobic glycolysis means every time in mitochondria only electron transport chain is taking place. So mitochondria, that respiratory chain requires oxygen supply. Okay, whereas in anaerobic glycolysis there is no oxygen supply. Okay, it takes place without the involvement of oxygen. So this step will not produce any ATPs. That is, this NADH plus H plus will not be entering the electron transport chain to produce this 5 ATPs. So this step will be missed in the anaerobic glycolysis. So you will generate only 4 ATPs. So 4 minus 2, 2 ATPs are utilized in the preparatory stage. So you have to subtract this 4 minus 2. So 2 ATPs will be generated during anaerobic glycolysis. That is the energetics for anaerobic glycolysis. So for aerobic glycolysis it is 7 ATPs. If you write 3 means it is 8 ATPs. Okay. So 8 or 7 ATPs will be generated during aerobic glycolysis, and in anaerobic glycolysis this electron transport chain step will not take place. So you will not generate this 5 or 6 ATPs will not be generated here. So 4 minus 2, 2 ATPs will be generated. So these are about the energetics of glycolytic pathway. Then what is the biomedical significance of this glycolytic pathway means? Glycolysis is a principal route for glucose metabolism, and it is the main pathway for the metabolism of fructose, galactose and other carbohydrates derived from the diet. Then the ability of glycolysis to provide ATP in the absence of oxygen is especially important in the skeletal muscle to perform at very high levels when oxygen supply is insufficient, and because it allows tissues to survive during anoxic hypoxic conditions. Okay, so in heart muscle, which is adapted for aerobic performance, has relatively low glycolytic activity and poor survival under ischemia conditions. And diseases in which the enzymes of glycolysis are deficient, which are mainly seen in hemolytic anemias, or in skeletal muscle defect in the enzyme phosphofructokinase as fatigue. In, so this the lactate is used for gluconeogenesis in the liver, which is produced during the anaerobic glycolytic, which is the end product of anaerobic glycolytic end product. So these are the biomedical importance of this glycolytic pathway. And erythrocyte, which lacks mitochondria, completely which relies on glucose as their metabolic fuel, and it will metabolize by anaerobic glycolysis. So all these are biomedical importance of glycolytic pathway. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and support the channel Biochemistry DSP.